Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. I have been solving math problem for GMAT out of this book here, the GMAT review, the official guide. If you do not own this book, buy one immediately. You will find it at mba.com. Excuse me. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 175, problem solving number 171. Let's take a look at it. It says x minus 1 squared equals 400. And the question simply is, what's the value of x minus 5? Before we can figure out what's the value of x minus 5, we have to figure out the value of x. So essentially they're asking you what x is. And once we find the x, we'll subtract 5 from it and we'll get the answer. Fortunately, there are no answer choices here with a difference of 5. Sometimes they do that. And the reason I say fortunately is because, for example, if they give you 10, 15 and 20, and if the correct answer is x minus 5 is 20, and if you forget to take x minus 5 and if you just did x, you might end up picking 15 if the answer choices have a difference of 5. But there are no answer choices here with a difference of 5, so you will not make that mistake here, because if you forget to take the 5 from it, then your answer won't agree with any of the answer choices here. Anyway, enough of that. Let's solve it. It simply says what could be the value of x minus 5, and the answer choices that are given to us are A, B, C, D, and E. 15, 14, negative 24, negative 25, and negative 26. And they're asking you, these are the values of x minus 5. These are the values of x minus 5. If x minus 5, 15 really? Yes. Yes. Why is the 15 the very first answer choice there? This is, people will, if x minus 5 is 15, then x would have to be 20. And those people who are not paying attention, who are in a big hurry, they might end up looking at this thing and say, oh yeah, x equals 20. X does not equal 20 here. X minus 1 squared is 20. If x squared were 400, then x equals 20 would work. And then x minus 5 would be 15, and answer would have been 15. It doesn't work. For 14 to work, x would have to be 19. And 19 also does not work here, because 19 minus 1 is 18, and 18 squared does not equal 400. 20 squared equals 400. That tells me that the positive numbers are not the answers here. The answer choice is going to be a negative root. Negative root. And if you like, you can solve it all out, or you can just play around with it. There are only 3 answer choices that are left here. I already showed you that 15 does not work. In order for A to work, x would have to be 20. 20 does not work because 20 minus 1 is 19. 19 squared is not 400. 14 does not work for more of the same reason. Because 14, if x minus 5 were 14, x would have to be 19, and 19 minus 1 is 18. 18 squared does not equal 400, and so on and so forth. It has to be one of these negative numbers. So before I do any work, let's play around with it. I'm just curious. Let's play around with it. See what happens. Let's see if it's negative 24 would work. If x minus 5, then x would have to be, if x minus 5 is negative 24, if I add 5 to both sides, then x equals negative 19. Let's see if that works. Negative 19. If I were to put negative 19 in here, x minus 1 whole squared equals 400. Negative 19 minus 1 is negative 20. And negative 20 squared, voila. Because negative times negative is positive, and 20 squared, I hope that you know, is 400. Voila. Answer is C. Without even doing any classical work. The answer is C. But this is the kind of thinking that you should be able to do on your own within seconds if the situation calls for it. I grant you there are some problems which simply do not lend themselves to this logical, rational thinking, and you have no choice but to do out the work. But this is not one of those. Here, you just think about it. 15 and 14 do not work for sure here. So it has to be one of these negative numbers. When I saw 3 negative numbers in the answer choices, my gut feeling was, my inkling was, my hunch was that it had to be one of these negative numbers here. That's why they're there. So let's solve it properly. Let's solve it properly. We already know the answer is C, but let's solve it properly. I need room. You see what it is, for example, let me give you a simple example. If I tell you that p squared is 9, what must p be? If p squared is 9, what must p be? I did not say what may p be. I'm asking you what must p be. Many people will not pay attention to the wording, and when I ask you what must p be, many people will end up saying p must be 3. That is not the correct answer. The correct and the complete answer is p must be either positive or negative 3. P must be either positive 3 or negative 3. Had I said what may p be, what may p be, and then if you had said 3, you would have been right. P may be 3 or p may be negative 3, who knows? There are two possibilities. Why? Because in this case, both the positive 3 and the negative 3, when you square them, will give you 9. So the answer to this here, what is p equal to? The answer is p equals to positive 3 or negative 3. The same logic applies here. Let's do it together. So x minus 1, I'm told, squared is equals 400. So when I take a square root of both sides, that tells me that x minus 1 must be positive or negative 20. I'm not going to waste our time with working out the positive root because we already know the positive root do not work. These are the only two positive roots here, and I already showed you that neither of them work. Let's try the negative. So x minus 1 equals negative 20. If I add 1 to both sides to solve for x, if I add 1 to both sides, that tells me that x must be negative 19. And if we go back and put negative 19 into our equation here, negative 19, let's do it here, negative 19 minus a 1 squared becomes negative 20, and negative 20 does equal 400 as we are told. You see? So negative 19, the question simply was, oh, what could be the value of x minus 5? So we're still not done here. That's the x. X is negative 19. So therefore x minus 5 would be negative 19 minus 5, which is negative 24. So the answer is C. Oh, I already told you the answer was C. What am I thinking? The answer is C. That's all. So this was the classical work, as what I did here. And before I did the classical work, I showed you the non-classical work, which is simply looking at the answer choices and see what works. Just give me a second. I'm at 8:21, so I have a little bit time to give you a little pep talk, a little sermon. Taking a standardized exam, when you're taking a standardized exam for anything in the world, anywhere in the world, for anything at all, standardized exams have two components to them. One is, of course, the information that is given in the problem itself, but in a standardized exam, equally important is how are the answer choices presented to you, which is very important. You must always pay attention to how the answer choices are presented. Because if you don't, you're going to end up solving it in the classical way, the proper way, the whole thing, and you will get the exact answer, and then you will match your answer with what is given to you, but that's a waste of time. If the answer choices are laid out in such a way that it does not require all of that work, I'm not going to do all of that work. Here, I would have done what I just told you here before. I would not have done all of this thing. This is mumbo jumbo. I wouldn't have done it. But anyway, that's how it is done the proper way. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to buy my DVDs, in which I show you the solutions to all the problem, in most cases both ways, the classical way and the quick and dirty way, or if you wish to hire me for personal private tutoring, in either case, go to my website at www.prep4gmat.com and send me an email. Alright? Thank you.